I'm just going to make a quick video because over the last, 15 years, there's been several attempts to murder me. Quite a few in my home where I've been called out my home. When I've got home, there's been, man traps is the only way to explain it, set up inside my home to murder me. I got called out one day to Blackburn Community Drug Team. When I came home, there'd been an extra fuse box fitted inside my home. After weeks of being deprived of sleep, I was actually coaxed into cutting through the second fuse box that had actually been set up in my home and directed to the flat underneath. I sent all pictures of this extra fuse box that had been fitted to Twin Valley Homes, but unfortunately, because of the corrupt members of the council, I think them pictures have probably been wiped. But they're coming in my house again now. I rang the police only a few days ago about things that had gone missing. And I went out yesterday. They've been in my house yesterday. They've been in my house a few days ago. Damaged the front wheel on my BMX. And they're just going through my house again, damaging everything. Stupid little things like my socks. How stupid would I look ringing the police saying there's been holes cut in my socks? But they're doing that again. And this is the Blackburn police that are doing it. They've actually come to my home and charged me with complete fabricated offences. Officer Turner from Greenbank, Blackburn Police Station at Greenbank, WPC Turner, came with some complete fabricated evidence of a dog bite, saying my dog had bit a 5-year-old Asian girl, but this was only brought to my attention 2 weeks after I was asked in a local Asian shop, had my dog bit a 5-year-old Asian girl? I said no. He said, well, you was being discussed in the local mosque. 2 weeks after that, Officer Turner came to my house with a picture of a leg, which was proven in the first court of law. In fact, I didn't get charged, I didn't get questioned in the police station. I was just summoned to court after Officer Turner came to my house with this picture of this leg. There'd been doctors signed complete fabricated doctors' statements that were complete bullshit, basically, because the first solicitor, which was Forbes in Blackburn, sent the picture of the leg off to a dog specialist that came back saying it wasn't an injury from a dog. Why was it just a picture of a leg? It was an insubmissible evidence for a court charge. Yet again, I was charged, and the solicitors that represented me, quite a few of them, were lying, completely deceiving the courts, lying in courts, hiding bits of information that proved the offence was completely false. And then I got a solicitor from Preston, Ian Kellogg's from Kellogg's Solicitors in Preston, who looked at the paperwork and agreed it was a complete farce, a complete set-up. He didn't know how I'd been charged with this kind of information, this kind of evidence, because it was insubmissible evidence. Halfway through the court hearing at Blackburn Magistrates, Ian Kellogg was taken into the court chambers halfway through the hearing. He came out the court chambers and he looked a very disturbed man. He was pale white. He was clearly upset. He'd been threatened in the court chamber not to carry on representing me. He told me he couldn't represent me anymore and would have been prepared to plead guilty. Now, I rung Kellogg's solicitors up about 6 weeks ago. It is now May 2025, and I rang them up, and as the girl was just giving me some information about the charge, a senior officer came on the phone, was very abrupt, was trying to block me from finding any information out, and then told me all the paperwork from that case had been destroyed. Why are solicitors destroying paperwork from complete fabricated charges? Now, this is Kellogg's Solicitors in Preston. I rang them because I was going to write to the CCR about this charge, because I'm on record now with my dog biting a 6-year-old Asian girl, which is absolute bullshit. That dog charge was just brought to get rid of my fucking dog out my house so people can start coming in my house and doing what's been done for the last 10 years, which is intimidating me, harassing me and damaging things inside my home. Now, this has been done since my mum stood for the BNP in Blackburn, which I am very proud of my mum doing that, right? I don't give a shit. My mum stood for the BNP in Blackburn to stand up for the British people in Blackburn. But because Blackburn is so heavily predominated with Asians and the fucking council is full of Asians, I have become a target for them. And my other sister. She's having people going in her house regularly. Everything she gets is damaged. All her house has been damaged. She has gone through the exact same as me. Now, we are being set up by people from Lancashire County Council. Muslim people from Lancashire County Council. I am being discussed in mosques, and then Lancashire police are coming round with complete fabricated charges. I have been put in prison for a charge of having 5 14-year-old girls on a Facebook account. When you had to be 16 to be on Facebook, I was brought out of prison 5 separate times to Blackburn magistrates. Each time dropping a charge. When it was down to one charge, my fucking solicitor then made a Facebook account in court, and it was impossible to be on Facebook under the age of 16 in 2016 when I got charged with them offences. I have been completely set up from Blackburn PPU. I have got a sex offence on my name because I was set up in 2008 because I was speaking in pubs for the BNP and they had to silence me. So they set me up with a sex offence. They got a woman to basically push her daughter upon me. The day of my dad's funeral, Sally Ann Titterington, who I went to score drugs from her house, I'll admit, on the day of my dad's funeral, for my cousin, not for me, for my cousin, who asked me at my dad's wake, would I get him some drugs? Don't know why I did it, but I did. And from that day, I was set up with an underage girl. Now, this was a complete fabricated setup by Sally Ann Titterington, kept ringing me and asking me to take her daughter out, lied about her daughter's age, and then I was jailed after sleeping with her, stupidly, with another man. And Sally Ann Titterington, I believe, was murdered to shut her up. She went to the hospital to visit someone and she ended up dead. The woman who set me up with her daughter ended up dead, visiting somebody in hospital, fell down a staircase and died, which I find is very, very suspicious. Because I just find it's very funny that after me serving 3 years for a sex offence, I get out and within 2 weeks of getting out, I move in with a girl called Nadia Butt. And it turns out that Nadia Butt was not only the next door neighbour from the fucking girl that I have just got out of prison for, but more or less the best friend of the mother who set me up with her daughter, the underage daughter. When they set me up with the underage daughter, Nadia Butt was in that flat at the time, and she told me that she was in the flat when Sally Ann Titterington was speaking about me, how they was going to set me up with her daughter, how I had a nice flat, and how I'd end up with nothing. Now, she came into a lot of money round about then, and so did my cousin. My cousin, who asked me to get the drugs off Sally Ann Titterington, right? Now, he asked me at my dad's funeral to score for him, to score drugs, and we went to this Pacific house. Now, he's had quite a few payouts of the DWP of £6,000 and £10,000. I believe them payments have been made for setting me up. Peter Ashcroft has had massive payouts from the DWP, and I believe they are payments paid for helping to set me up in 2006 because we was doing some work for the BNP in Blackburn and they wanted to shut us down, right? And the best way to shut somebody up is to get them done with a sex offence. And I did the labour canvas for the BNP because I went to a Roman Catholic school and I sat next to a lad who was arrested and jailed for 25 years for being a member of Al-Qaeda, right? In Blackburn, Junaid Feroz, right? I am being set up, right? People are coming in my house regularly. This piece of shit that lives next door at number 3, Annigan, right? He knows exactly who's coming and damaged my gas pipes behind my cooker, right? And I reported that to the police, that somebody had been in my house, pulled my cooker away and damaged my gas pipes, causing 2 holes in my gas pipes, trying to murder me, trying to get me to blow my fucking house sky high. Now, I reported on 07711939562, my own phone number, that somebody had been in my house and damaged my gas pipes behind my cooker, trying to murder me. This guy next door knows exactly who it were, number 3, Annigan, because every single time I used to leave my home, they would be in their kitchen window. Every time I would get back, they would be in their kitchen window, which I have to pass to come into my house. And they'd have smirks on their face and they'd be grinning. And I'd get into my house to serious damage in my house. Now, I've reported this to the police, I don't know how many times, and they don't want to know. Now, the police have covered up an attempt to murder me in November. I was hit by a car who drove straight through a junction and knocked me off my bicycle and knocked me unconscious on Arnhem Wharf in November. Now, that driver was not questioned, was not arrested, and was allowed to just drive straight off from the scene of a serious accident. Now, that is all being covered up by the police because I put a claim in, and now all the claims stopped. And they don't know who the driver is and nothing's going on. It's all being brushed under the carpet. And I only rung the police a few weeks ago to fucking ask why. Why are they letting people drive straight through junctions where they're supposed to stop, commit serious driving offences and hit a pedestrian? And why are they just letting him drive away with no question, nothing? Because the police at Blackburn Greenbank Police Station have got an ulterior motive. They are working for the Muslim Council in Blackburn, who were corrupt and who were making them come round and charge people with complete fabricated offences, because Officer Turner came to my house with complete fabricated evidence of a dog bite and set me up. And that went through court for 2 years, to the point where I had to defend myself in Preston Crown Court, and all the paperwork I put together to defend myself was taken out of this house after my door was taken off by the police to remove that evidence and remove that paperwork that supported my fucking case in Preston Crown Court. I came out my house later on that day. There was a police officer waiting for me outside, Carl Haslam from Blackburn PPU, who asked me, am I putting the police officer in the dock who came round with the false paperwork? I said, yeah. He said, well, don't forget, make sure you write everything down, which I had done, which had been removed from my home, and then drove off laughing. But I have been silenced by having a sex offence against my name, and that silences any man. And that has been done deliberately to shut me up and to fucking stop me being able to expose what is going on in Blackburn and what is going on with Blackburn Council. We've just got this MP in now, who's totally corrupt, who I sent a letter to my old MP, Christine Holleran. I sent a letter to her about these complete fabricated charges I faced on the police, and I put a picture of the letter on my Instagram account. Now, my home was broken into that night, and that letter was removed from my home. But I've got a copy of it on my Instagram. The letter off Miss Holleran, the MP for Blackburn. Now, I sent the exact same complaints to this local MP who's now in for Blackburn, this Muslim guy, this Amar, whatever he's called. And he sent 2 sets of mental health workers round to my house to section me under the Mental Health Act. Now, that is 2 complete different results for the exact same letter of 2 complete different MPs. One said, get the crime reference numbers and she'll talk to the Chief Constable, and the other sent 2 sets of mental health workers round to my house to section me under the Mental Health Act. Now, I've been in the mental health hospital set up by Blackburn Council, by the police in Lancashire, to put what they've done down to being in my head. If I get called to a fucking appointment in the town centre and I come home and there's 2 fucking fuse boxes in my house, 1 extra fuse box fitted, yeah, and then all my windows have been damaged so you can hear every fucking person that's walking past talking, and all the cars on the dual carriageway, yeah, driving past with a massive big exhaust on to keep me awake, and they keep finding stuff in my house connected to all my electrical devices that were giving off this mad smell, and then they're going in the flat downstairs, 7 o'clock in the morning. I hear them going in the fuse box downstairs, flicking something, and I'm wide awake. I cannot sleep. And I can't sleep for 6 weeks until I'm coaxed into cutting through that electricity cable, which I don't know how, but it didn't kill me. It was supposed to kill me, but it didn't. That is only one. I can go on and on and on. I've had my flu blocked up. My chimney breast blocked up whilst I'd been put on community service on a children's adventure park in Accrington. Right? Convicted sex offender put on a children's adventure park to do community service in Accrington. Just to take the fucking piss, right? Whilst I was on that community service, my chimney has been blocked up with the insulation and a brand new flue has been fitted from my chimney to my roof. That flue was blocked up with a bottle of ammonia, which was smashed remotely. My fucking windows were screwed shut because I fucking was sat in this flat and I heard a beep beep, right, of a car outside. Next thing I heard a smash. Thought somebody had put a brick through my window, so I looked all around the house. There was no brick through the window. As I walked back into the living room, my living room had filled up with ammonia. It was burning my eyes. I couldn't breathe. I went to open my window, and there was 4 big screws screwed through my living room window. When I got a screwdriver to undo them, the police pulled up outside looking directly up at me. When I was put in the mental health hospital, there has been massive amounts of work done to my house to damage my house and to make it as uncomfortable as possible to live in. They took all the brick out the back wall, my kitchen window, and they've damaged all the cavities to make it a freezing cold draft where I've had to stuff 2 quilts under my kitchen cupboard to stop this draft coming in. And they completely changed my front window to get rid of the window frame that had the hole screwed through it. Been completely changed as that window sash. And they had a community PCSO going sitting with my 80-year-old mother to make sure she didn't come down to my house whilst this kind of work was being done. And another thing, when they had me in prison as well, they've also targeted my mother, my 80-year-old mother. When they put me in prison for one of these completely false charges, like when they put me in prison for hitting a 16-year-old girl, and Jonathan Taylor from Farley Solicitors, Blackburn, completely lied in a court of law and had me pleading guilty to hitting a 16-year-old girl, which was nothing more than a cold sore on a piece of paper that they fucking brought into the police station and said I'd hit a 16-year-old girl. Now all these charges have been brought against me to make people not want to deal with me and not want to know me. Me dog biting a 6-year-old girl, me hitting a 16-year-old girl. Keep charging me with charges like that to make nobody want to know me and to make it so people agree with what's being done with me. Well, I need someone that's not corrupt to look into these charges, because you will find that they are complete fabricated evidence brought up by Blackburn fucking Council and Blackburn Police to discriminate me because I stood for the BNP. My mother stood for the BNP in Blackburn, right? Which might have been a bad move, but that is her problem. She stood for them, right? But I did some canvassing for them. So we have been targeted in Blackburn as a family. Me and my sister, who live alone, have had massive amounts of damage done to our homes. We've both been sectioned under the Mental Health Act. We've both had the same kind of things done to us. We've been harassed, we've been intimidated, we've been tortured, and we've been set up. And it's about time somebody started looking into this for us, because I got set up with a sex offence in 2008 that was strategically planned to shut me up, because I was speaking in pubs about the BNP, about me going to a Roman Catholic school where there were more Muslims than Roman Catholics. Things like that. Me going to a Roman Catholic school where I sat next to a guy who got arrested and charged with being a main member of Al Qaeda and sentenced to 25 years. So Blackburn Council have tried shutting me up, right? And I was set up by this sex offence. My ex-girlfriend, who I moved in with 2 weeks after being out of prison for that sex offence, was in the house when they was talking about me and setting me up. Now, it's just a bit funny that I move in with a girl 2 weeks after getting out of the sex offence, who's not only the next door neighbour, but the best friend of the girl who set me up. Bit funny that, innit? And her brother is a chief inspector called Tanit Butt. Yeah? Yeah. Well, somebody needs to start looking into this, because there is some serious, serious corruption in Lancashire Police, and they are being puppeted by Blackburn Borough Council and corrupt members of Blackburn Borough Council that are running these mosques and these schools in Blackburn, and that fucking hate us English people, right? They hate us. I know quite a few Muslims, yeah, and I've been told off quite a few of them that a lot of the Muslims hate us English in Blackburn and they want this town for themselves. And they do. Like, look at St Mary's College, for example. They've just shut a college down in Blackburn, St Mary's College, but they've turned it into an Islamic girls' school. And this is what's happening in Blackburn. And this is why they want to shut me up, because I will speak about stuff like that. Why have they closed St Mary's College down to open it as an Islamic girls' school? This is happening too often in Blackburn, and somebody needs to speak about it.